No, I'm muted now, I think. Looks like we got sound in OBS. Okay, I did try out tweaking the noise gate to hopefully cut down some of the keyboard clacking. I don't know. Looks like I still get some of it coming through. Hopefully that will make it a little quieter or cut out some more of it. If anybody is watching along, feel free to let me know if you still hear a lot of keyboard clacking while I am typing. Okay, so let's get going. I'm gonna shuffle a few more around. We don't really need this preview. I was also trying to help somebody in the with chat here just a little bit. Get it to disable storage in REPL if I use the example in the guide. One of the GPI opens on the board. Work with a matrixed board. Maybe keypad uses something that's not ready to go for CircuitPy runs. Dan's not around, or I would ask him maybe. It's a good test. Let me look at the sound here while I type. Okay. Out there for now. So yeah, quick introduction. I kind of just got right into the chat there in the help with room. Just behind. So hello to everyone. My name is Tim. I go by foamyguy on Discord and GitHub. We'll be working with CircuitPython. Specifically today, I'm taking a look at some PRs to review. But if you don't know what any of that is or what I'm talking about, this is a good place to start, circuitpython.org. Basically, this is a version of Python that runs on these tiny computers called microcontrollers. I have one right here, which is Adafruit Clue device. This is basically a tiny computer. It shows up on my PC, on my big computer. It shows up as a thumb drive, essentially, just called CircuitPy. There's a CodePy file on here somewhere. Or maybe not right now, but when there is a CodePy file on there, oh, there it is, just out of order a little bit. there's a CodePy file, you edit the contents of that, you save it, and then it will automatically run the code that's inside of it, and you can write that code in Python. So this is giving you a way to write Python code that runs on these, again, tiny computers. And the neat thing about lots of these is they have I/O pins, like an Arduino or something like that, where you can hook up other bits and bobs and types of hardware. Some of them also have displays, obviously, like this Clue has a display. There's a bunch of them in the pictures in the background here on the website, circuitpython.org, and also if you click downloads, you can see pictures of all of the different ones. It's kind of like a comprehensive list of all the devices supported. So obviously there's a bunch of different form factors of all of these things. So take a look around if you are new, if you're interested in figuring out which one of these devices you might be able to make something out of, use it for your project or just get one to learn about or anything like that. This is a good place to start. The CircuitPython project is an open source project, but it is primarily funded by Adafruit. This is their website, adafruit.com. So please consider purchasing hardware from them if you are interested in the project, and you want to help out, right? Because when you buy your hardware from them, especially CircuitPython hardware, you are helping them be able to continue supporting the CircuitPython project because they're paying the folks that are working on project and the libraries and fostering the community around it and all of that sort of stuff. So thank you to Adafruit and thank you to you if you are interested and want to get more involved or just want to help out the project. That's what you can do. Contributing, this is a good place I'll mention as well. If you want to get involved in kind of doing the stuff like I'm going to be doing on this stream today, reviewing pull requests, we're always interested in having more folks do that. And so this contributing link right up here, this is a good place to start for that. You can find a list of all the open pull requests, all the open issues. You can go through those. You can find a pull request that either, interests you because you think it's a neat piece of hardware or you just have the hardware, or you think it's an interesting, change that's been proposed or whatever, right? You can take a look it over, see if there's anything that stands out to you that you think maybe should be changed or see if everything looks good. Try it out on your device if you want to do that, if you have the hardware and everything, and leave a comment and let us know that you tried it. And that's essentially it, right? That's how you get involved in reviewing the changes to CircuitPython libraries. Hey, Dexter, thank you for letting me know about the sound there. I appreciate that. I set up a different noise gate today to try to take out some of the keyboard clacking, so that's good to know that that's working out all right. Let's check back in on this help with. We're running the Pi 0 today. I still got to dig out my Pi, try out some of that stuff. What is keypad key matrix doing? What is doing, seeing that a particular row and pin are low? Okay, yeah, no, this person is replying back to the one who was trying to set this up. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. They're trying to disable the thumb drive and the serial dynamically inside BootPy. Like, if I hold this button down, then either disable it or enable it. I don't know exactly. It's like if it is pressed, then it gets enabled. So if it is not pressed, then it gets disabled. And they're having trouble doing it through the key matrix. So I was suggesting to try it with digital I/O. Just read the states of the pin, only the 2 pins that match up for that one. Occasional click-clack, but not too bad. Okay, awesome. But maybe just going lower level, like digital I/O instead of keypad. My hypothesis is like keypad maybe doesn't have something it needs when CircuitPython first boots up. Maybe there's like something in the background that needs to start up in order for keypad to work. I don't actually know. Dan would probably be the one that has good insight into that. So I am looking at a couple PRs today. One of them is this APD S9960 PR. This is a optical sensor of some sort. It's like it can sense color, it can sense light, it can sense motion, kind of like you can run your finger in front of it and it knows that you ran your finger, and it can even tell you like which way you ran your finger? Is it APD? There it is. This is the device on a breakout by itself. Proximity, gesture, and color sensor. So essentially it's using light. It's emitting, I guess, probably infrared light. I'm not 100% certain, but one of these two things is emitting light. The other one is receiving, like sensing the light that bounces back to it off of whatever is in front of it. And it's doing that over and over really, really fast. And one of the things it can do is try to determine the color of the thing based on what parts of the light are bouncing back, what parts of the light waves. I'm probably butchering the actual scientific principles here, but this is kind of like my super, super high level understanding. It can also tell you about how far away the thing is based on how long the light took to bounce back. It can calculate, like, how long it would have to travel there and how long it would have to travel back, so it can tell you how much time has passed and therefore how far that distance must be. And then the gesture part, which is super interesting, if you just like wipe your finger over the top of it, kind of, or anything, right? It doesn't have to be your finger, just a thing, a solid thing. It can tell you if you swiped like left or right or up or down, which is kind of interesting. You can use it as a UI control mechanism, a bit like a joystick, but a little slower and it doesn't have the tactile feedback. This one is the breakout by itself. This is built into a couple other devices like the Clue. Maybe if we search it up. Yeah, so this one, proximity Trinky board. I don't actually have one of these. This doesn't come up with Clue. Maybe it's because I don't have the whole thing. Oh no. Proximity Trinky, and I guess the Clue is not tagged or whatever. But I believe this Clue has this on the front too, right? I think this is this thing right here. It's a slightly different package, but I will check on this because Clue is what I have out to test it. So if it's not on the Clue, then I'll not be able to test it how I was thinking. So let's definitely double check. Maybe this will tell me. Yeah, APD S 9960. Like simple gestures, left, right, left to right, right to left, up to down, down to up. Turn the amount of red, green, blue, and clear light. Turn how close the object is in front of you. Yeah, it is IR. Got the LED integrated. Got 4 directional photodiodes. Interesting. Okay, that's why it can get direction, I guess. They're pointed in different directions and take readings at the same time. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, this is what we're going to test. The PR specifically is somebody made some improvements to the way that the... Well, honestly, they made a bunch of improvements to the library. This is a really, really awesome PR. Actually, honestly, I have to say, Hug reports to 560 for this. They put a ton of thought and effort into this, and they have a really, really nice write-up that explains their whole rationale for everything they've done and provides a bunch of actual data, right? They ran a bunch of tests on all the different versions of everything they did, all the different changes they made, MPY cross versus not, how much memory it takes, what size the file was after it was compiled. They put together a ton of really, really nice data. So a huge thank you to this person, 560, for all the great work they did on this PR. Basically, they're trying to resolve some of the issues that are filed on this library. Some different stuff about reliability, and sometimes the sensor gets locked up like after you call a certain thing, then it doesn't give you values back anymore or something along those lines. And so they've done a pretty major refactor of the library to try to resolve those issues, and as well to try to minimize the amount of RAM that the library takes up. And so, yeah, a bunch of really great improvements, as well as the documentation also. So actually, you can see they've added a bunch of extra comments and stuff for documentation for all the changes that they've made, which is, again, they put a lot of work into this, and it's really awesome. So we're going to take a look over the code. We are going to try it out on our device, the example code, make sure everything is still working good. We are going to try to build the Trinky build, proximity Trinky. That was the other thing. Did I open that? Yeah. Proximity Trinky. So this has one of these things built in. It's one of the little Trinkies. However, I don't have one of these to test on. It is a SAMD21 M0 device, essentially, SAMD21, with this proximity sensor built in. And one thing we want to do is make sure that the updated library, I think they did mention that it got a tiny bit bigger. So we want to make sure that the updated library still fits in the build for that device, which I think they've done, honestly. If I understand, they actually did that testing as part of this. And they compiled directly to the proximity Trinky and stuff. So I think they have done this, but of course we want to just double check, make sure that we are not going to break the build for that device if we merge this. So we're going to do that, and we're going to try it out on the Clue. And I think I'm going to start with trying to build it, because this is something I'm not entirely sure how to do, so I think it'll be interesting to give it a try and kind of learn how this works together. So I have CircuitPython open, the core. Inside of the core, there is a folder called Frozen. Inside of Frozen, there are a bunch of other repos, essentially. I believe these are sub-modules in Git. So each one is kind of like a... Just ordered the Feather NRF. Oh, yeah, the NRF. So yeah, Feather Sense, actually, that's a good point. Feather Sense is the one that has a bunch of sensors on it, including this one as well. And then Feather NRF 52840 is basically the same as the Feather Sense, just without this proximity sensor and some other sensors that are built on. I have I think I have a Feather Sense somewhere. Maybe test it out on there. 100% sure where it's at. So these are submodules. I think that if I just check out in this submodule the branch from the PR, and then build the device I'm after, which is the Trinky, this thing, proximity Trinky, I think it will take the edited version. So I think that that is good enough to make sure that this is going to fit when when we merge this. If we do merge it, make sure that this Trinky is still going to build. So I do need to check that out. I have this printed already, but let's do this list. Oh, I got a knot tied in this. 1 second. Okay. I think I can just do GHPR checkout on 39. 39? 39. So now this local instance of this repo is set to the same branch that the PR is on. Branch right here. So I think if I just build now, obviously inside this core repo, up one more, ports, yeah, SAMD. I want to figure out how to add tab completion suggestions to my terminal. I want it so that if I'm in one of the ports folders and I run make board equals and then I press tab, it gives me these, which are from ls boards. So then also I could do like find proximity in this list. Ooh, proximity's not in this list. Ah, okay. Probably this, right? It's probably this. So then I could also do like ADA tab, and it would go to neokey trinky, and I could tab again, and it would get me to this. Or I could do like underscore P tab, and it would get me to this right away. I think that would be awesome. Frozen modules are Python code embedded into the CP image. That's right. That's my understanding. And I guess with the one caveat being they are MPY crossed. So it's not like plain text Python code. It is MPY crossed or compiled, however you think about the MPY process. It's built into that MPY. But then it is, packed into the core, essentially. We do want this one. I'm just going to copy paste for now because I don't know how to do this. This would be an interesting thing. I'm going to entertain this rabbit hole for just a brief moment. Linux add tab completion suggestion? Custom tab? Bash completion script. So one thing is I'm not very good at bash. Uses the built-in bash command complete to define which completion suggestions can be displayed for a given executable. Nature of the completion options vary from simple, static to highly sophisticated. And which resides on the number. For example, the following command will simply execute LSA. We create a completion script that will display commands along with their number. I don't think this part's the executable script. I don't, example, really the completion script. -w now tomorrow, or do this. And a complete. This one looks like hard-coded. You can just do W, you can hard-code your strings. That's not necessarily what I want, but maybe you could pipe into it. Directory. Directory seems relevant. Anyway, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but this was a good peek. I have a vague sense of how to do this now. I am interested to do it one of these days, but today is probably not the day. Okay, so we do want to go back to here. We're going to build, copy this one. One thing is I don't know exactly how got something going wrong. Tag exactly match. Maybe it doesn't like the fact that I have the other one checked out. Or maybe I need to run make fetch submodules now that I checked out a different successfully, which is I guess I could shell specific. Oh, interesting. So I guess I would be in bash. I'm not 100% sure. Didn't really. I don't think I set my shell specifically. I just kind of went with whatever it gave me. I guess I could just install this, right, on any SAMD21 and then maybe go to REPL and make sure I can import from the library. Seems like it should work, maybe, I think. Let me go grab a M0. I'll be right back. Okay. Got two, actually. We got an Itsy Bitsy and a trinket. I'll try the trinket first. Oh, right. This is plugged into the clue. I don't know if this one will want to stay there. Okay. Lord knows what is this on. This is probably super old. Not too bad. Couple months, 7.0 alpha. So we're gonna double click reset. Reset. Oop. I'm gonna move this up a little bit. Is it covering me now? It's in frame. That's pretty good. Not too. So should have, yeah, trinket boot. Connect to REPL. Doesn't actually do anything. Booted fine. Like, whatever. Interesting. Save. Any. Have ACM0. Oh, you know. A couple of these around real quick. Okay. ACM0, I think. Huh. I don't know what that was about, but we got it now. We're in REPL. Ran code, it printed hello. Seems fine. So let's do the import. You know what the import. I don't think I have a way to connect one of these. If I had the breakout one, connect it with stem cable or connect it through I2C. I have one of them. I think the clue and the others, they'll have. I'm going to import this. Ooh, incompatible. Not actually. Or else. Oh, wait a minute. Do we have this? No. Okay. Why we would get incompatible? Let's make sure that the normal one of these works how I'm thinking that it would here. So let's go here, downloads. Click reset again. On. Connected, reconnected, and now it's back to the stuck state again. Interesting. I wonder what that's all about. Okay. That doesn't work here either. I don't suppose anybody watching has one of these today. Proximity Trinky. Let's try release. Click again. Notes. Oh. Back to that. What's up with that state? This usually doesn't do that. Alright, do I have like a boot pie that's weird? I have a boot. Proximity Trinky. Let's see. Compatible on this one too. I'm gonna try the itsy bitsy. I think the trinkets are like the smallest ones or whatever. I think it has even less RAM or storage space. But I'm curious if this does the same thing if I do it on an itsy bitsy. Or a boot out pie here as well. Not boot. On the window. I mean, it's not building it with MPY 6, is it? I wonder. Hopefully that's not just broken for this actual device. Or on itsy boot. We'll put out a call in the Discord dev room or something. It stayed connected. That issue was to the trinket specifically, seems like. Okay, got farther. This one worked, it just doesn't have register also. Oh. Oh, I bet you register is the wrong version. But that thing was on 7, but who knows what I actually did with it. Okay, we're going back to the trinket. Back to the trinket. And actually, oh, hey, this time it connected. Circa update? Yeah. Oh, I should have looked. I think it's like -- all. I think there's a way to make this go. Okay, so we would have got register and bus device. That's good. That probably was register was wrong, actually, maybe. It was getting imported from APSD, whatever, but that was it. Yeah, either bus device or register. Probably register, honestly. Bus device, I think, is built in. I think we could delete it. Device. Although I don't know about on this build. Find out, right? Yeah, bus device is built in, I think. So register. We had the old version of register, 6.0 probably. So this does work. Does work fine, at least for importing. Yet I don't think I have a good way to actually connect one. Unless, yeah, I wouldn't count that as a good way. I guess maybe it's a way. Could I tie together the I2C bus of 2 boards, like an Itsy Bitsy M0 and a Feather Sense? Could I tie together their I2C bus and their power? No, this seems to cause problems. It's odd that the frozen module would import a non-frozen module. Yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah, it would make sense to me if register was built in also, I think. Where are those listed? Let's take a look at that. I think it's in ports. Find the board we want. These. Yeah, so it freezes in. Yeah, I agree. Only thing I could think is if it doesn't fit, then kind of SOL, but it might fit. Do we have register in frozen? Can we just add it real easy? It is. What if we just add it? Weird. Maybe it didn't realize it changed or something. Okay, well that's running. Let's this theory's right? If we delete register, this will not actually work anymore, right? Yeah. So if we can freeze register in, if I do need that make fetch. Yeah, so this time actually overflowed. Yeah. So it looks like there's not enough room for register also. Which the upside of this actually tells us that I think we would see this error if our change to APDS library made it too big, then I think we would see this issue. But the fact that we built in didn't is a good sign. Like this can't work. Try make fetch submodule. I don't know if I need that. Oh, while this is running, well, this might be done running. Yeah, anyway. Hey there, it's Pika Pika. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for tuning in on Switch there. One thing I meant to actually mention at the top of the show, but I totally forgot, is that Oktoberfest Shirt came in this week. It actually came in on Wednesday. Oktoberfest Shirt is in, and the other thing that I will show is it came with a couple of stickers and things in the package with it. And I pulled out a couple of the ones that I thought were really neat. So, Github Octopus with a little apple and I like to think it's a magic wand, but maybe it's just a teacher's pointing stick. But whatever we got there, a little Github Octopus is pretty cute. And also, I thought this one was neat. It's the Oktoberfest H with its like circuit, traces and this big ornate H. And this is on like a cardboard stock thing. It's like almost like what you would see in a restaurant for a coaster. And it has this QR code on the back of it there, which just takes you to a page that talks about Oktoberfest. But I thought those two looked pretty neat, and I wore the shirt today. Show that. So I assume if folks, if anyone watching did participate in Oktoberfest, I would assume your shirts are probably gonna be coming pretty soon. Red Ninja told me about you. Hey, awesome. Didn't know about CircuitPython. Yeah, CircuitPython's awesome. If you're ever interested in like learning about it, I can talk for days. Like if you need help getting started or a point in the right direction, or if you're interested in getting more involved, I can definitely help out with that. The Discord's a really good resource as well. But even if you just like watching and following along, that's cool as well. All right, where were we at here? So we built. So I did a make fetch submodule. So do you think this will still build after I did that? Back to here. You didn't get that error this time. So that did seem like it helped. I don't know of a great way. Oh no, we did get this error though. Did electronics and comm engineering. Yeah. You have his Arduino board. Yeah, I really like it compared to Arduino CircuitPython. I played with Arduino for a little bit, but I always got I ended up always getting frustrated for the most part. I say always. It's probably not true that it's always, but I oftentimes ended up getting frustrated with Arduino because the tool chain and the building process and the flashing process, just like it's a little different on some devices, like hold the button or not hold the button, or push the button right when it's running, or don't push any buttons at all, or sometimes it just works out of the box, or sometimes you need this other driver, or this other permission, or you got to install this other thing. Like all of that kind of stuff wore on me a bit, and I didn't end up going too deep in Arduino, but CircuitPython does a whole lot to ease that pain. Like everything is just kind of edit the code file and save it, and you're done, and you don't need special drivers for the basic stuff. Like if you want to do serial connection and stuff, you need a serial driver, but that's a generic thing. And I found it to just be easier to get up and running on any given board with any given project. Arduino. Yeah, Discord. I don't have any of the I don't have any bot commands hooked up or anything. I don't think, unless there's some of those built in by default. I need to get on that though. Truthfully, I should make a bot that does a couple things like that, like Discord. It would link to the Discord. Maybe today we could have a today command that says what I'm working on. I think it would also be interesting to make a yeah, I can link you. I think it'd be interesting also to integrate Twitch commands with hardware. Like we have a matrix portal, or we have, Pi portals or different things. We could set up commands that interact with the hardware. So there's actually a link on all the repos here, I think, right? Oh. Oh. Wait, what? It didn't load the badge. Huh. Interesting. Copy link. Do you ever have speed issues with CircuitPython, like being too slow? That's a really good question. I personally have not really run into issues like that, but I have not done a lot of projects that require like super precise real-time speed, essentially, right? Like it goes pretty fast, and it's been fast enough for anything that I've wanted to do. If you are like doing some kind of very particular, communication that has its own protocol that's really fast, and you absolutely have to hit the timing exactly, it may not be the best for that, because it does run slower than just C code. But one of the things you can do is if you do dive in deep enough, you can do what we're building. You can do what we're doing here, which is building your own copy of the CircuitPython core. And then you can actually include your own C code if you want to. So if you do have a part of your project that really has to be as fast as absolutely humanly possible, then you can write C code that handles that portion of it, and there'll be bindings into Python, so that then none of the actual like hardcore busy work is being done in Python. It can be done fast as possible in C. But you can still write Python code to call it, essentially. So generally, the stuff I work on is more just for fun and doesn't require that super tight critical timing. But if you do require that, there are ways you can try to get that as well. Yeah, really good question though. 32K people, yeah, we got quite a few people on the Discord. We just hit 32K not too long ago. But yeah, that's a really good place also if you do want to get involved. There's help with channels are really good. Like this help with CircuitPython is a room I hang out in quite a bit. If you're getting started and you're having trouble, you can come and ask here, and people are happy to try and point you in the right direction. There's also all sorts of, if you're looking for inspiration or stuff like that, the show and tell room is always nice. People are showing the neat stuff they're working on. Here's a matrix portal like I was just talking about. I think it'd be neat if we had Twitch commands. Like if I set up my matrix portal somewhere on camera and it just sits in the background or whatever, I can make a new frame in OBS for it, and then maybe there's a command that will send stuff over to here. Or maybe when we get subs or bits or that sort of stuff, or follows, maybe it could scroll the name on the matrix portal or something that's visible. I think there's room to do some interesting stuff like that to tie in Twitch to this hardware stuff. But yeah, there's all sorts of good stuff on the Discord, and the core developers generally do a lot of work in the CircuitPython dev room. So if you're ever interested in, like, if you're trying to build the core and you're having trouble, or you want to get involved with developing the core, that's definitely a place to go. Even if you just want to know more, you can kind of keep an eye on what's going on in there. So I think we did actually make it too big. We did actually make it too big. Because now that we did a fetch submodule, we are getting this error. I'm just turning off NeoPixel to see if we then don't get the error, because I would suggest that our changes to APD did make it too big. So one thing that's interesting is it seem to be the same number, right? 2936? Oh no, it is different. And 20. But what is weird is when I commented out NeoPixel, we overflowed by more bytes than when I didn't comment out NeoPixel. And I would expect the difference to be larger. Like, NeoPixel is surely more than 16 bytes. If we do it this way. I should mention too, I don't think it show on there. I guess it does at the top of the chat window there, but the live broadcast chat, that's the chat that I have pulled up on the screen there on the Discord if you are interested in asking questions or sending anything through. I will definitely see, at least while I'm streaming. We have some here. Maybe we need a clean. We need a clean every time we do this. I should also maybe ask at the CircuitPython dev room. Submodule, right? Submodules. It's spelled so fluorescent. Okay. What is there? So this one did pass though. I do think. Okay, let's try it back this way. Maybe I do think it's maybe the clean. Need to clean every time, maybe. So clean will delete everything from the previous build. Maybe these frozen ones don't get redone from build to build. So our one that was too big just kind of stayed there, and our subsequent changes didn't actually take effect until after the clean, maybe. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot to set the title today. I have a title that is not accurate at all. Okay, yeah, so this one did build. So, unfortunately, I think that means we did make it too big, right? We're gonna do a clean. We're gonna try one more with both. Cost. I see there's at least a couple of folks maybe watching YouTube. Just a heads up for the folks on YouTube. I think I have finally figured out how to disable the chats. So the chat on YouTube is disabled, and you can head to Discord or Twitch if you want to chat or ask any questions or anything. I found I always got more spam in the YouTube chat than anything else, so. Oh, that looks like a successful build. Save that. All right. Yeah. So that's a good sign, actually. Let's double click reset on the trinket. I did that off camera, but this is the trinket here. We got trinket boot now. We're gonna copy this one we just built. I'm just gonna use the terminal. So one thing is that build folder got deleted, and my editor here is a little weird about when your terminal is inside a thing that got deleted, you kind of stay existing in some phantom directory that's not there anymore. Went back and then back in. CP firmware UF2 here, media. It still had the register. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. I did put the register in, and I don't think I cleaned after that. That is a good point. Yeah. Was this in dev? No. Let's help with. So while the thing building here. Oh, I don't know what my ping was. They took the ping off of me. Lied accidentally. We're still trying the matrix thing. Got some help from Nearduck and Deshipu now as well. Now we're gonna go to here. We're gonna look at the REPL. And we'll import. I hope this works. Oh, right. That makes sense because we deleted register. So if anybody does use CircuitPython and does not know about Circup is amazing. Circup install Adafruit register, boom, right there. It's kind of like pip or npm, if you're familiar with those tools. This allows you to install libraries from the command line. And then boom, just like that, we got register installed. It's interesting, I noticed it installed bus device too, which we deleted and we were okay without because it's in the core now. Maybe we should... I don't know if it's in every build though, I guess. Although if it's in the trinket, it probably is in every build. Maybe we should get rid of that. I don't know, maybe we could not have to make Circup install this since it's in the core. All right, back to REPL. Restart. Still pasted? No. Edit Circup. More time. Imported, just fine. So I don't think I can connect one, so I can't run the initialization, unfortunately, but I think the fact that we got this far is a pretty good sign, especially on a trinket. I think the trinket might even be less space, possibly, than the actual proximity trinket might be. That's awesome if that does end up working. So I think that is good to go. I think our build is small enough. We should be fine there, I believe. So the next things I'm going to test are basically the simple test examples and the other examples to make sure they still work and to make sure that the gesture especially seems to still work correctly. So I like to use this GitHub tool, GH command line tool. I can go GHPR list. This will show me all the open PRs. I can go GHPR checkout 39, which is the one I want. Pop one here. This will check out the branch for that PR, which is a really nice little command line utility. So now I'm going to run this on the clue. I'm going to start with the simple test. Oh, this is in temp. Okay, I was like, this does not look like CircuitPython. Okay, this is actually what we have. So it's some kind of Bluetooth. Okay, just gonna save it. This is probably an example from a repo. I probably don't actually do it, but I'm gonna keep it just in case. BLE service test. Who knows? I probably didn't even change it. I don't know. I don't actually know for sure, but just in case, not out of space, so we might as well keep it. Here, simple test, paste. Back to here. Save this. There's our printouts. So this. We're getting zeros, but I think that's because nothing is in front of it. If I put my hand, then we do start getting other numbers. It is interesting though, the numbers go up closer you are, which I would have maybe expected the opposite. So right now we are not running. Right now we're running the stock library. I didn't copy this over yet. In fact, what I'm going to do is delete it. Make sure we get this error, which we did, because we don't have the library. And now I'm going to install it. So we're going to have the most up-to-date stock version of the library. Make sure this is still the same. Yeah. My hand is very, very close to it. The numbers go up. That seems to be the correct behavior. One thing I'll do is check the docs. Under proximity. Expiration time. Oh. Proximity value. Actually say. This might be in old circuit. Fine, guys. On unit specific proximity values. But not actual distance. You know what that means? I mean, I guess distance, right? Distance would get bigger, but proximity... Distance would get bigger as my hand gets farther away. Proximity, though, it seems like gets bigger as my hand gets closer. But that seems like what it's supposed to do. 0 when there's nothing there, and it changes when there is something. It's bigger the closer you are. It looks like it's 0 to 255. This part seems like it's working, so I am now going to delete the library again. Show up yet? Refresh. Delete the library. Copy it from the PR branch, which we are on here. Copy. Here. Okay, so now it is running again. Seems to be working the same. It's looking good to me so far. Test out a couple of the other examples. I know gesture was one thing that they mentioned in the PR that got a lot better. Let's do color first. This will turn on the lights, maybe. They're quite bright, as I recall. Like it did turn on the lights. One thing is, this is a little hard to read, truthfully. We just between. Okay. Right now I have nothing on top of it. I'm gonna put my blue glove on top of it. We're gonna see if the blue value starts getting any bigger. Oh, so all of them actually got smaller. So really, actually, what we have right now is the bright white light of my camera shining directly into the sensor, which is giving it mega high values of all colors. And then my glove is covering that. Or something like this. Yeah. So now the camera light is coming in from the side, and the blue is directly in front of the sensor, and I am now getting a bigger blue value than red or green. So it knows this thing that it's looking at is a shade of blue. It's pretty cool. Let's try a green thing. This is some lotion. Yeah, there you see we got 200s on the green, but only 100-ish for red and blue. So this one is also working. It's picking up the green in this container. Pretty awesome. So color seems to be good as far as I can tell. Gonna run through the other ones here. I'll do gesture last. I think that's kind of like the grand finale. That's definitely the most complex thing that this driver does is gesture. pretty crazy when you think about it, that like an LED, like an IR LED and a couple of sensors can like tell you when you swipe something over it. That's pretty crazy. Oh, this is actually using the interrupt. Ooh, I don't know if we're connected. E5? Might not be able to do this one. I think no, it doesn't look like it. Probably would have to bust out the feather for this. Or, I mean, we could... No. Yeah, because this is basically waiting for the interrupt pin to go high. Which... I mean, I guess maybe we could check board. Check board. Is it populated? Import board, dir board. Oh, okay. Accelerometer. Light. It's definitely not D5. Well, I guess that's not true. It could be D5. But it definitely this one, whatever this one is. Okay. There it is. As soon as I got close enough, we started getting printed values. And if I get far enough away, we stop getting anything printed at all. So it's basically whenever it senses proximity, close enough, then it sends this pin high, which the clue has broken out to this. This is the name of it. And then inside our loop here, we're just checking the current value of the pin. If the pin goes high, then we print the proximity reading. If the pin does not go high, then we just do nothing. This will just loop over and over and print nothing, which is why we're just sitting here waiting. And I'll put my hand back, and now we start getting proximities again. So seems like that's working as well. And so now we will do gesture. We do need this for the clue, for the orientation to be correct, as it's mounted sideways on the clue. Or 90 degrees. I don't know. I mean, it's not really sideways. It's just how it's mounted. Got to be hard-coded to like one direction is up, right? Doesn't matter the way you mount it, though. You can always just adjust. So we'll copy this code. Head over to here. Clear all of this. Paste this. Run it. And what do we have here? Okay, so just a loop, and it's waiting until it senses a gesture, and then when it does, it will print which direction that it thought it went. Put this back, and I'll try to go from right to left. We got an up. Oh, I didn't uncomment the thing. I'm going to do it again. We got another up, and we got a third up. So we're pretty consistently getting ups. And I think that makes sense because I didn't uncomment this. So we're actually 90 degrees off. I'm going to go the same way, right to left. Boom. Look at that. We got left. Left again. I'm going to go bottom to top. Up. Looking good. Looking good. Left to right. It's looking pretty good. And now top to bottom. Down. Down. That last one was even crazy. I bumped it accidentally, and it still registered correct. We're looking pretty good on this, honestly. Curious if I can... Curious how natural you can make these. If I treat it like a thumb... trackball type thing here, does it... I think it picks them up fine. The problem is you have to keep your thumb out of the way when you're not trying to send one. You could actually make a pretty simple little D-pad with this. Have it like move a selection up, right, left, down. Seems like everything is working good to me though. So that, I think, is good. Our test kind of pans out. So really the other thing I'm going to do is just take a look through the code and make sure there's nothing in there that jumps out as potentially problematic. And as long as we don't find anything, then we will leave a review, probably approving this, and then we can get it merged. The one thing is they enhanced the documentation. They added a couple of product stuffs, links to the products. Okay, you know what I can do is I can go to here. I can actually read this. We can make sure these look good. Blue, yes. Feather Sense, yes. Proximity Trinky, yes. Whoops. Changed here, I guess. Current user. Why it thinks this changed, really. It's on a different line. Change the order of the proximity interrupt. Did test that and it seemed to work. It's the same. So this, technically this file is in the README. Just make sure the README matches the actual example. So we have threshold first and then enable after. Indeed we do. Threshold first, enable after, looking good. Yeah, part looks good. The wording better. Visual IO you need if you want to do the interrupt pin. But in the simple test, you can get by without it, I think. Yeah, this is the current best practice way to do this if you have a built-in I2C instead of using bus IO. Part looks good to me. I should have looked here to start with. It does mention here proximity higher values mean it's closer. Okay. I like that they've added a bunch of they've fleshed out a bunch of the detail for, you know, in English words, how you use this library or what the different things do, kind of intermixed with the code examples here in the README. I like this. This is all deleted. This part looks like got added, which is good. For folks using a clue, they need to make sure to do that or they get 90 degrees off like we saw before. Oh, let me my OBS preview up. Let's do this. Catch up on the chat here. That might make a good page turning input. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. That would be cool. Ah, nice. You did get the feather sense. Hooray. Yeah, feather sense is really close to the clue, I think. It's pretty much got all the same stuff, except the clue obviously is like the microbit type form factor with the edge connector and then the screen. Maybe one extra button, I guess. The clue has A and B. I think the feather sense maybe just has one button. But they're very similar. Get a color. Oh, okay. This was just... I see. We were in the color section before. One thing I'll do is I'll also take a look at this without the diffs. We get to the bottom of README here. Make sure everything is in the right section and stuff like that, because it's hard for me to keep track of which parts got removed and which parts got added. I know it's red and green, but it gets kind of jumbled in my brain looking through it this way. And hold low, yep, that's true. Yep, this was true for me. Okay. This part is a little bit different here, which I think is probably trying to solve one of the issues. One of the issues was like after you do one of the things, it gets stuck and it won't give you new values. I think probably clear might be a solution to that. We'll need to take a little bit closer look, but that's probably what's going on. Okay, did make it to the bottom of this. I do want to take one quick peek through README just at, on this, like the final rendered page here. Make sure everything, right order and stuff looks pretty good. Of course, our example here is the interrupt one. We have just numbers 1, 2, 3. As hex actually, but they are just numbers 1, 2, 3. Let's double check that it works this way too. I'm sure it does, right? But oh, I shouldn't change it in here though. So it's a little smaller, but you can see it on the clue screen itself there, it printed left. Oop, accidentally bonked it. Right. And my other fingers get in the way here. Yeah, there's an up. Here's our threshold interrupt example. This is just boilerplate stuff at the bottom. Yeah. Pretty good. I will truth be told, a lot of the actual intricate low-level I2C communication stuff is going to be a bit over my head. I mean, conceptually, I know what it's doing, reading and writing these values to the different registers and stuff, but I'll take a look through it, but it's unlikely that I would necessarily spot any kind of actual like logical issue with some of the low-level stuff. But the fact that all the tests run makes me think probably everything is done correctly. Can check the comments though, make sure thing we want to change there. Basic driver services for the breakout board. That sounds good. Typo in README set defaults. The reset or set defaults. Missing the T. Yeah, it sure is. I may... start a review. I may just fix that, truthfully. I would love to get this merged today, if we can. So I may just go ahead and push. If we don't find anything like that's a more substantial change, I'll probably just make that change and push to this branch as long as I have permission. And we'll still review. Good catch, by the way. Thank you for that, Seagrover. Let's see, this was in README. Of Adafruit from these because I already have Adafruit outside. Makes sense. And let's look in the file. Just make sure they look good here too. I'm sure they do, but yeah. Ultimately, this would be coming through to the docs. CD docs. Build the docs. Would it come? This is our README. Ah, yeah, here it is. Breakout by itself, clue, feather sense, proximity trinky. Quick look down the rest of the docs while we're here. Just again to see the like final rendered version to make sure everything is in order and okay, here's what we could tweak if we wanted to change the way the color perception works. Like the way I rotated it 90 degrees and that made it a little bit better. I bet you there's a way I could tweak the config to actually have it top down like we started. Might be tough because it's blocking out the light. The other thing is there's white LEDs on either side of that sensor, on the clue at least. These two things, there's one here and one here. These two things are some bright white LEDs, which is also helpful for color sensing because it can turn those on to get even more light up onto whatever the thing it's looking at is. A lot of good information in the docs for this device. Okay, so head back here. They did some refactoring and removed the use of RW bit and bits. Again, that lower level actual I2C stuff is still a bit beyond, so I won't really be able to tell too specifically what they did. Pipes look good. Sensible defaults. I think maybe gain duration time address. Looks like they put a bunch, not a bunch, like 3 of them. Some of those other arguments into one, just set default. Maybe Pylint complained about, that's probably my guess actually. Pylint maybe complained about any argument. Set defaults is a Boolean. Yeah. Is doing integration time and gain. So, but can you set those individually anymore, or no? And what happens if you set it to false? Yeah, fully agree. You used to be able to set gain integration time. They're only properties? Here, moved from here as well. We should go back and read the, I should go back and read the thing too. They might have mentioned about why they This is where we get into the weeds of stuff that's constant values, basically, and going to get written registers. Looks like part of what they added is also maybe this idea of managing states a little better, being able to enable and disable things and individually, like enable everything all at once, but also you can do proximity by itself or gesture by, well, go together, I think, earlier, but proximity, gesture, color, individually flip on. Threshold setter is here. I think this is different than integration time, though. Thresholds. Okay, we do have color gain here as a property, so you can just set it as a property. And integration time right here to set as a property. So those basically just moved from init to properties. And then we gain that set defaults, which affects them. If you set it to true, it puts them to the old defaults. I think the new default does kind of simplify it a bit. Okay. So the number is basically like how much light it saw get reflected back. The further away something is, the less amount of light comes back, all the way to like it can't see it and no light comes back, and that's a 0. 255, it's the maximum amount of light that it can possibly see. So whatever is in front of it is so close that it's making all of the light possible bounce back and get sensed. That's why it goes up when you get closer. You're seeing more light get bounced back. That does make sense. So this PR actually added a bunch of the stuff in the docs. This was a really good update of docs, and it seems functional. And if it resolves those issues, like, really good work. This part I understand. Here's our 90-degree rotation. Cat throwdown, hopefully not. Hey. Here. Couch. Have peace amongst the cats. They even mention here about using the white LEDs to test color. You can get really pretty accurate results with the color sensor in this thing using the white LEDs. I did play with that for a little bit when I first got the Clue, and I was pretty surprised about like how well it can pick up different colored objects. Kind of cool. You can set it up to like read the color of an object and then set the color on the NeoPixel or on the screen or something like that. Oh. Changed order or something. Some of them are crossed out and different. We'll double check in the docs real quick on the examples section. That's good. So it's talking about these variables. Oh, this got deleted. I see. Yeah, see, this is what happens to me. I read this and for some reason I just overlook the red and I'm like, I don't understand what this is talking about, but that makes sense, right? They didn't understand what this was talking about either and they removed it. But I guess it's talking about these down here, which it's a little far away. There's already a comment that kind of explains what's going on there. This is why I like to look at the rendered one as well, just to see only the real stuff. Sometimes I just, for whatever reason, the red stuff sneaks through and start thinking about it as whether or not it's correct, but really it's gone, so I shouldn't be. Very comprehensive analysis. For sure. Yeah, totally agreed. Again, huge thanks. This is 560. Let me finish up right. We're real close to the bottom and I'll scroll back up. I do want to get their name right. I think it's 560. Threshold. Yeah, okay. That all look pretty good to me. Yeah, 560. Huge shout out to this person. They put a ton of effort into this and it shows. They did a really nice job. So we just found the one thing, which was the one little typo. I'm just gonna go ahead and push the change to fix that. One typo that I like to fix. Going to one commit that. What's capital? And then I'll leave a separate one to approve. Go green for a respawn down here. Yeah, defaults. So one thing is I need to check it out. Oh, why is main different? Or no, I guess I just had an updated main. One thing is I need to check out a different one because I checked it out with GHPR checkout and it does not get a remote. So what I need to do is go here, this, copy, check the remotes, only Adafruit, git remote add 5, 6, 0, git fetch 5. Fresh. Now we can see them in here. And this is cleanup and dock. Is that in the README? Where was that? README. It wasn't the README. Oh. Up. Still passed, right? We barely changed anything. Yes. Applied, is that spelled right? Or applied? Is that right? I'm terrible at spelling. I don't trust myself to spell. Yeah. My location. Same thing. Where? All of them. Applied. Obsolete spelling of applied. There was actually, it used to be that way. Hey, thanks for the follow, Paba, on Twitch there. Appreciate that. So I guess this it at least used to be a acceptable spelling. I think this is certainly more common though. That as well. Save that more. Okay, there we go. Now we'll push, and then I think now we have a remote, so this should actually allow us to push as long as they gave permission. Defaults and applied. Yep, looks good. I'm just gonna say typos. Okay, so we will wait for this to pass actions. As long as it passes actions, I'll leave an approve and we'll merge it. And also in my approve, I'll mention that I built the Trinky proximity and I imported it. But it was not on a real device, it was on a trinket. I'll mention all of that. I think that it should work fine though on the actual Trinky. Outdated because we got the push now. Work. Let's take a look at other. Try to figure out what I'm gonna do next. I was thinking about. There's actually two. The same person worked on has been working on this for a while basically, and they made a PR before, but the new one supersedes it. So we'll close the older one to merge this. I was thinking about going on to the turtle. But I actually don't know if I will do that. Go for maybe like, probably not quite an hour. A little under an hour left. And I have a feeling this turtle one is going to be taking a little while longer because it's doing some really weird stuff. I'm really not sure why it's doing some of the stuff it's doing. So I think there's going to be some exploration on that one. See if there's some other thing. Quicker though. Tech Trick doing some more fantastic work on typing. Huge shout out as well to Tech Trick, who has done a whole lot of typing PRs and other various improvements to lots and lots of different libraries. Tech Trick has done a lot of really great work across all the libraries. So while this is, oh, actually this passed. I say while this is running CI, I'll take a look through this typing one, but we actually passed already. So yeah, I think we're good here. I am gonna leave an approving one. Sure. Not chip select, is it? That's usually CS. I'm not sure actually. Spy device. So for spy, is it the clock? SCK, I think, for the clock. Data command? No. Examples successfully. Oh, did anybody ever answer me in the CircuitPython dev? Probably not, I guess. Say I don't have, all right. Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like I've seen DC before, but I don't know really what it stands for. Anything in the old spy section of CircuitPython Essentials? Not actually a spy section. I2C. Hey, there must be a spy section. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure. Surprised there's not. I've seen somewhere, but see. Okay. Good here. Gonna merge those. Are gonna close 37. Oh. Supersedes it like it includes it also, actually. So we don't even have to close this. This closed automatically because it knows the commits were part of the other one. That's fine. We don't actually have to close that. Slash command. I wonder, is this a thing used mostly by displays? I feel like I've seen this on displays before. Featherwing 3.5 TFT. Nice. Let my I'm gonna go ahead and close. I mean, none of this is permanent, right? If it doesn't actually, if it turns out that this is still an issue, it can always be reopened. No big deal. But it's all definitely been changed to not be initialization anymore, and it uses those properties now. And it seems like this person has done a whole lot of due diligence in looking into all these issues while they were doing this big refactor. You know what we're gonna do is I want to make a hug report for 560 this week. I'm gonna do it right now because I want to make sure I do not forget. Because this definitely was a really awesome jar. It's been open for a little while. I think it was like a month or a couple of weeks or something before anybody got to it. But they did I cannot state enough, they did a really awesome job with this jar. Put a ton of work into this. So for folks that don't participate in the CircuitPython community, one of the things we do is weekly meetings on Mondays. And one of the parts of the weekly meetings are called hug reports. You can leave hug reports. It's like the opposite of bug reports. You can leave hug reports for people to call out cool stuff that they've done. Foamyguy. 560. I don't actually know the right. I've looked at it a bunch of times now, but I don't. Right name. 9960. Oh. 60. Okay. Definitely don't want to forget to do that because this was awesome. I really appreciate doing it. Whoop, don't need mu. Oh, I left the comment but didn't actually close. And we do need to make a release, which I'm going to go 3.0.0 since it is, I think, not backwards compatible exactly, since it does not have same arguments, right? The initializer stuff changed to properties, so even if it is technically backwards compatible, it was still a very big change, a big refactor, so I think it's a good idea to bump the major number. Oh, this is not working. Okay, tag. Sure that our numbers are good. I always like to double check. So 228 here is the previous one. 300 is what we're going to make, which is definitely higher. So you get into trouble a little bit if you try to make a new one with a lower number. That's why I always like to triple check on that number and make sure it's actually bigger. It's not the end of the world. I think you end up just having to make an extra release after the fact with a bigger one. It's not that bad, but first one doesn't work. Well, the release works, but something in the CI goes wrong or something. Doesn't build the right something. I don't remember the exact issue. This so we don't actually accidentally edit it. Okay. All right, so I think I'll just poke through a couple other PRs. Smaller one. Oh, I'm gonna see if this fan. One of them that I have stuff for now. Just got an order of stuff in this week with parts to test things. One of them is this. Which is a fan controller. So I have the breakout now, but I didn't have a fan. But then I just got one. Geek Pi, Raspberry Pi fan. Hey Keith, how's it going? Got a question. How do I decide which parts to order to help with PRs? Yeah, good question. Usually, I mean, honestly, I just go through the PRs. Like, I'll start on this page here, contributing. I'll start looking through these, and lately I've been like, kind of generally aiming for the older ones, you know, as opposed to the newer ones, but it's like not a hard rule, right? I've been doing some newer ones. There's obviously still some older ones that are open. So like, you know, I'm not strictly going only from the end, but if we can hit older ones, then, you know, that's kind of a bonus. So I've been generally aiming at older ones, and I'll just look through here. And, you know, lots of them are easy. Like if they just have a part name or whatever in the name of the library, then it's super easy to figure out what you need for it. Generally, you can usually just drop that part name into here to find the breakout. Like this one, but this one's out of stock. Although I think we got Neradoc to look into this, actually. Maybe we can review this one. So that's one way. Just go through the list and search up the hardware. Some of them you do have to pay a little bit closer attention, like, what's a good example? This one I was looking at, I actually have these also as part of that order. I got some of these shift registers. This one's actually a really cool PR as well. I'm actually happy to highlight this as well. This person did a really good job. Chow8219. They added this is all basically example PR. They didn't change the library, but they added an example. In their example, they actually added a markdown file as well that has a ton of great information about the example they added. But one thing I want to show is they did also list out what you need. So in this one, like, this is probably, I'd say, outside the ordinary. We don't necessarily always get PRs like this, where they've like kind of built a project page or like a tutorial page essentially for setting up this example. But they did on this one, and it includes what all you need. Mine will be a little bit different because I'm not going to use the level shifter. I'm just going to use 3 volts from my LEDs, which it mentions down here. But this one was really cool because they provided this whole page. It's almost like a learn guide page in a lot of ways. But it's checked into the repo. It has lots of great examples and a GIF of the output, which is really cool. Oh yeah, that would be awesome, Neradoc, if you were able to do that. That'd be awesome. This HTS, what was it? HTS, whatever it is, they're sold out. Humidity sensor, HTS 22.1. They're sold out now. I don't know if they are like, I don't know what's up with them, if they're just temporarily out or if there's actually a shortage of the component and maybe eventually there'll be a different one that comes along or something like that. But I know Tektrick did this. This is another one of the awesome things Tektrick has worked on lately, and then we got Neardoc to kindly agree to test it out for us. So thank you for doing that. And found some issues with it, pointed them out, and it looks like Tektrick has made. So yeah, we get that one retested. Be good to go there. Yeah, I think hopefully that answers the question. Essentially, is I just look through the list, and some of them are easy because they have the hardware listed in the name. Some of them are a little bit tougher because you have to like actually look into the change a little bit more to decide what you actually need. Like this is another good example, the HT16K33. There's a couple of different ones open for this library, but this library actually covers a couple of different hardware devices. Like if we search this and drop it in Adafruit, I think it will show us all of them. So there's like one generic one that's a breakout that you can do anything you want with. This one it looks like is the same as this one, but it now has stemma ports instead of just pins. There's a backpack for a 14 segment, which uses pins to connect to 4 14 segments. There's the same kind of backpack for 7 segments instead of 14s. There's these 8x8 matrices, which can be driven by the same driver chip. There's a Featherwing version, so it's basically the same as like this, but it has pins that match the feather pinout. So that's actually the 14 segment, not the 7 segment, but here's the 7 segment one. And then there's the full ones together. So like this one was a little tougher because there's obviously a bunch of different components. And in this case, I had to take a look at like what the actual PRs were doing. Some of them are doing stuff that affects the matrices. Some of them are doing stuff that affects the 7 segments. Some of them are doing stuff that affects the 14 segments. And one of them is even using that generic one, that very top one, this thing, to do button inputs. The rest of these are really meant for outputs, like the matrices and the LCD 7 segment, 14 segments. Those are generally outputs, but somebody made a PR for doing inputs with this chip as well, which it's also capable of. Keypad function here. So that one I had to dig a little deeper into to figure out the right hardware. Some of them don't require any special hardware necessarily, like HashLib, for instance. This is on pretty much any, I think, any device. Maybe they're not in the M0s. I don't know if the smallest builds have them. But like pretty much any device, I think, can run this. So this one didn't really require any special hardware. Nice. Great class tuples. Gives me why the index is present. I see. Yeah. Okay. So I think I'll hit a couple of these. If anyone is interested in getting involved in reviewing, this PR here could use a review. It's a pretty straightforward one. So if you're brand new and you want to get involved, this is a good place to start. Basically, this one is a PR I made, and it's pretty much just renaming a bunch of old names of stuff to the new names. Like when I made this library, I copied it from a library called Fram, and it's actually an EEPROM device, not a Fram device. So I've gone through and changed a bunch of those references. Originally, I'd copy pasted a bunch of stuff. If anybody wants to get involved in reviewing, though, I would definitely appreciate a review on this one. It's near the top of this list, 24LC32. I'm gonna take a look at the typing one. Well, so this one is HTS. Fan. Where was that other one? Typos. Oh, this is a action. Okay, here we go. We're on OV5640. I don't even know. This is a camera. Okay. I have this. I did get a camera, but it's a VML. So for another one of. Okay. I don't quite have that exact camera, but we can still take a look at the VR. Okay. Imports look good. So we do this import trick here. Put the typing import first, and we catch the exception when it's missing. This way, when it runs on a CircuitPython device, these things here will not get imported because the import of typing will fail and raise this exception. Which makes sense because we don't actually need these in order to execute. We only need them for the type, which gets ignored when it's executing. Register is an int, shift is an int, mask is an int, returns none. OV5640, optional type, returns int. 5640, value is an int, returns none when you set, that makes sense. Register, shift, mask are all ints again. Sense. 40. Another one of these optional type ones returns an int from get, that makes sense. OV5640, value is an int, returns none from a setter, makes sense. I2C bus is a I2C from bus.io, that makes sense. Address is an int, none because it's init. Right, register, int value, int, and returns none, that looks good. Register x value, y value, all ints. Returns none, that looks good. Right, register 16, this is an int and another value int. It's none here. Good. Read register, this one takes an int for an address and returns an int for the data that it read. Register int, returns an int. Right, list takes a sequence of ints and returns none. It's a write function, which makes sense. Register mask are ints. Enable is a Boolean, which sounds right to me. I used an if statement right here, so that looks good. Returns none. I2C, a list of pins. Pin, href? Href really a pin? Shutdown is an optional pin. Reset is an optional pin. Mclock is an optional pin. Frequency is an int. Address is an int. And size is an int. Size was missing on the doc strings, but now it's been added. New code in the morning is the best, as long as you have coffee. Okay. Added. Oh. Oh. Okay. Capturing a buffer, which is going to be either a byte array or a memory view, and it's going to return none. Since it returns none right here. Buffer size takes nothing, returns an int. Sounds reasonable to me. Frequency, this one returns an int. The actual frequency makes sense to me. It would be an int. Width, an int, a number of pixels. Yep. Height, same. Color space is an int. This is like how many colors there are allowed to be in the image, I think. So 5 for that image. Guessing that's the value it stores. Color space here is an int again, though. Sense. The options returns none because it's a setter. Color space returns none. Should we have a argument? Of a few. So looking it up off of property color space. Maybe not be a property. Dinit returns none. Size int. Size constant. Check on those in a minute. Color space none. Fire. Int. Of doc strings that is not a public one. Why? Setter takes a new size, returns none. Header returns a boolean. Setter accepts a boolean, returns none. Getter returns a boolean. Setter accepts a boolean, none. Pattern returns a boolean. Get int plus 4 to minus 4. Here. Effect the constants. Ints. Effect value be the same as this one, which makes sense as int. None. Quality 2 to 55 inclusive. Does sound to me. Quality returns none when you set it. Brightness returns an int. Takes an int, returns none. Stress returns int. Int returns none. Exposure value int. -4 to +4. Thing for input and return none on the setter. White balance. Another one of the constant. Night mode, true or false. And return none. That looks all pretty good to me. Take a quick peek at the constants top. Up. Color constants, those ones are definitely ints. Every size constants, these are all ints. Like all the constants are aspect ratios, everything. I do think we're looking good there. Catch up on that real quick. Yeah, naming is a lot harder than it seems like it should be. It's definitely like a turning point in your programming career when you realize like how important good names are and you get good enough at selecting names. And I think there will always be room for everyone to improve, probably. Yeah, and it does get tough. So this is actually for Scott. Sure if I follow all the way. I don't think you could name it literally self though, since that's like a reserved word in Python, unless I'm misunderstanding what you mean. Either way though, I don't think it would be wrong to ask. I do think it could come in a follow-up PR as well though, so I think either one of those is fine. Maybe you mean self.cv? Yeah. That's definitely true. Yeah. Working on stuff that you haven't touched in a long time is quite an adventure. Okay, so I'm thinking this one looks pretty good to me. This OVA OV 5640 OV 50. So I'm also gonna go back and close this. Some of these get linked automatically, but some of them don't. I haven't figured out why. Tetrick is good about following up on the closures of the issues, though. I think the fun things that they do each week is look at the numbers in our meeting when we run the numbers. Last couple of weeks, I've been excited to see the numbers of closed issues and stuff like that going on. So, inheritance. Maybe they use the name CV where traditionally it would be self. So, reserved word, an optional word. Use any word in its place. Really? I did not know that that was optional. I thought you had to use self. I actually would kind of like to use this sometimes because I do write a fair amount of JavaScript, and I came from Java where this is definitely used. Interesting. I had no idea you could change that. Yeah, totally agree about Tech Trick. I think that's what you mean about rocking the PRs. Okay, so we got this closed. We should make a release. This one will do a minor number, right? Because it's only added typing, and it should not be. It shouldn't be. It should still be compatible, right? You don't have to update to get your code to keep working. You don't have to change your code at all for it to keep working. So, releases. We'll go edit this one. Go new. Here. Pylent. Yeah, I could see Pylent preferring that you don't rename self, but fascinating to me that you have the option to. That's really cool. 103 is the previous one, so we're going to go 104. 4. 4. Okay. I think I made this right. This is for guide. This is another one. If anyone is interested in getting involved in reviews, I would definitely appreciate a review on this one. This is in display layout. Basically making the icon widget able to have able for you to tell it to make a certain color transparent the icons, which I ended up using in a guide that I'm working on. And we do gotta, I think, get that merged before the guide can get published. I have to take pictures for the guide still too, though. Most of it's written out. Basically, the last thing I need is to take the pictures. Give it a nice once over. MMA 8451, what's that? 3-axis accelerometer. I have one of those. Over here. 8451. Yeah. There's not a stemma one. I guess as this chip is not available anymore, it's currently out of stock. The old style breakout without the stemmas. Oh, yeah, self is the convention. Cool. Thanks for this link. I had no idea. Learn something new every day. Yeah. Luckily, I didn't ever get into Python before I had a pretty good understanding of like object-oriented programming from Java. And so I was pretty quick to get up to speed on how it worked in Python. It's not too different. The syntax and stuff is obviously different, but the core concepts carry over pretty well. But it is definitely like understanding that hurdle of object-oriented like classes and things. Definitely a big step up in learning programming. Making it for doesn't matter what language. We got an I2C, we got an int, we return none, makes sense. Address is an int, buffers, byte array, count is an optional int because it's none. Address is int, return int. Value address, but none because it's writing. Range int minus 8Gs. Int none because it's a setter. Rate int none. Duration is a tuple of 3 floats. Constants? Yeah. Looks good to me as well. CLS for class. Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely CLS does not feel as much like a reserved word. Okay. This we're gonna make the release. We'll close this. And I think I'm probably gonna head out after this one. Close this. The APDS 9960 is the primary one I wanted to get to today because I looked at this a little bit before and saw how detailed and amazing this PR was, so I figured it would take a little while. This is the main one I wanted to get out. But I also just wanted to kind of like pull the curtain back a bit and let folks see what the process of reviewing is like. In case if anybody is interested in getting involved, you can kind of get a look at what you do and how some other folks do it and stuff like that. Just try to demystify it a little bit. Always like to get new folks involved. Nice, got another new target for bubbles. You're on the you're still using the Pi 0, is that what you said, I think, when we started? You got it running through HDMI, I'm guessing, then, probably? Bubble tea in there. Let's make the... Did I close? I must have closed that one. Huh? Let's make the release for the MMA. We're gonna go 1.3.10. This is another minor one. Okay, 1 through 9 is the old one. 1 through 10 is definitely larger. Oh, this is on QVGA breakout. Nice. Yeah, okay. That does ring. I was thinking you had told me that you got it on the Pi under HDMI before. QVGA breakout. Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to kind of get some of this stuff out there and let folks see what the process is like. I'm also happy to feature some of these great changes. Like, again, I know I've gushed a lot about 560 and that PR, but I did also really want to highlight that because I think it was an amazing PR. They obviously put a lot of good work into it, so I was happy to show that off today as well. But yeah, it's been a little while. I've done a couple of these PR review streams before, but it's been a little while since I did one. I've been diving into projects a lot more lately, or actually coding, like writing our own PRs and stuff like that. It's been a minute since I did a review one, which reviews were one of the things I wanted to make sure and do on stream when I first started this stream. But yeah, I'm glad you are finding it enjoyable and helpful stuff. What we got to mention in or is that in this one? It's just in my other Discord. Yeah, okay. Okay, we made our release here. Pass actions. We'll sure it's green, but I'll do this bash thing one of these days. Okay. On this, we have a couple of folks on Twitch, so I'm about to wrap it up. I will find someone to raid, maybe. I don't raid every week when we get done, but I see there are a couple folks on Twitch. I think it'd be nice to go ahead and do that. Let's take a look at you go back to Anthony Wright's code. Anthony Wright's code rated me the other day. Quite a few folks. I was definitely really appreciative of that. Let's do that. So we're gonna raid Anthony Wright's code. For folks that don't know, this is Anthony. I don't actually know Anthony's last name. It probably says in here somewhere. But Anthony is the author behind Precommit, which we use Precommit on all the CircuitPython repos. So this is actually really cool. If you want to see behind the scenes of Precommit, you can watch Anthony. And speaking on the topic of doing PRs and stuff on stream, that's one of the things that Anthony does on stream as well. So you can watch him review pre-commit PRs, which is really interesting to see folks working on another, large open source project and see how they do stuff. I'm not quite a Twitch pro exactly. I think I made Twitch. I have enough people to become an affiliate, whatever it's called. I don't know if that's the right name. I need to look into how to turn that on, or maybe not turn it on because I don't really want it to run ads. But that's a different story for a different day. The true thing I was getting at is I don't know how to use the Twitch interface very well. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna head over and raid Anthony Wright's code. Thank you to everyone who watched. I hope everybody has a nice day. I will be back next week for sure. I may stream in the evenings. If you want to follow me on Twitch, you can do that and see if I pop in on evening streams. But definitely the next time I'll be back for sure is going to be next Saturday at the same time I stream today. So 10 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays. That's my normal window for streaming each week. So I'll definitely be back then. But if you follow me on Twitch, you might catch me in between. Depends on what's going on. So yeah. Head over to Anthony Wright's code, and again, thank you to everyone who watched. Catch you all next time. There we go. That did it.